The number 2 mistake people make is their website doesn't have a purpose. Now some of y'all are going, purpose? A website? Isn't it obvious? Your website must do something. Remember that, D-O, do. If there's one thing you get from this talk, it should be that. Your website should do something. Basically, your website should do at least one of these 3 goals. Generate sales, generate leads, or generate support for an existing customer base. Now I want you to ask yourself, think of your website. Does it do at least one of those? Some of y'all are going, well, I don't know. Sure, I guess it does. If you don't know that your website has generated one of those, then there's a problem and you need to keep listening. Let's talk a little bit more about what do means. Back in the .com days, everyone wanted a website. They didn't know why. They didn't know how. Hey, my competitors go, well, I got to put up a website. I'll make money in no time. So what'd they do? They gave their copy of a brochure to someone. They built a website. Boom, instant website. Folks, your website cannot be simply an electronic billboard, an online pamphlet. It can't. That is the worst kind of website. You can't simply hand one of your brochures to a web designer and say, build me a website. No one wants to know about your company. They want to know what you can do for them. Did you hear me? Does this make sense? Defining the do is a complex process. Because for some of you, it's not just about generating leads. Maybe it's generating leads and generating sales. By the way, what is the difference between generating leads and sales? When I say it, what I'm talking about, if your website's goal is to generate sales, what I mean is that you can actually put a product in a shopping cart and purchase it right then and there. That's what the generate sales to me is. The majority of you are generating leads. I mean, think about it. What does a realtor do? Generate leads or generate sales from a website? Quick. Leads. Why? Because you can't put a house in a shopping cart. Does that make sense? Okay, so think about your business. Think about your business. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to generate a lead or are you trying to generate a sale? Because the way you design your site is very different depending on that answer. Okay? By the way, you'll have to forgive me. I get a little evangelical about this. Okay, so if the only way to calm me down is the occasional amen or preach it. So, okay. Keep in mind, the shortest route between 2 points on a website, my point is this, how many times have you been to a website and you couldn't find what you were looking for? I have what's called the rule of 3 clicks. If a customer can't find what they want within 3 clicks, forget it. That's because everyone on the internet has ADD and they're lazy. Everyone, including you. Think about it. When you get on the internet, when you're looking for something, you're in a hurry. And you're not going to read every word on that page. You're going to scan it, looking for a phrase that jumps out. You got to design your website not for someone who likes to read. You got to design it for someone who scans, someone who is easily distracted, someone who is most likely about to leave. Too many people design websites like they're a book. Those websites don't do jack. Let's talk about generating sales. If you're going to generate sales, you better define your product or product line. Now, folks, I'm here to tell you, and this may deflate some of your balloons. I'm here to tell you that if you sell the exact same product Walmart does at a price that is not competitive with them, you're going to have a rough go on the internet. When we talk about generating sales, the key is competitive advantage. The key is product differentiation. The key is making what you do unique. What makes your product better? And don't you dare answer me customer service. You've all been taught to say that. What makes your product better? Keep in mind that some products are more important than others. If you're going to be selling something online, you know, we build websites all the time for people, and sometimes they come up to me and say, Eric, it's so daunting. I have thousands of products. I don't have time to put all those products online. And I look at them and I say, then don't. I want you to pick the top 10 products that are the easiest to ship and you make the highest margin on. And let's put those up and launch. You don't have to put every product up there, people. Pick 10. And like I said, make it easiest to ship for you, easiest for you to ship, and the products you make the most money on. Boom, you're up and going. Then over time, add more products. Not every product should be sold online. I'm the first to tell you that. Are you internet priced or regional? I had a lady in Amarillo, Texas. That's where I'm from. Amarillo, Texas. Lady came up to me. She says, Eric, I've got this high-end kids clothing store. I want to put it online. Give me a great website. So I did. Built a beautiful website, if I say so myself. And the website does everything. It follows all my rules you're about to see. She didn't make one sale. Month went by. 2 months went by. Not one sale. She comes to me all angry. Eric, what's wrong? What have I done? I haven't sold one thing. And I said, well, I dang well know it's not the website because it's beautiful. But let's take a look. And so I went and did a little research. And I found out that the kids line she is selling, she's not the only one selling it. Not only is she not the only one selling it, she was the highest priced when I did a quick Google search. And so I said, hey, it's simple. Lower your price a bit, you become competitive, bam, you're selling. And she looks at me and she laughs and she goes, why would I lower my price? In Amarillo, I can get those prices. She didn't get it. Are you internet priced or regional priced? There is a difference. And folks, before you ever enter into a contract with someone to build you a website or convince your nephew to do it for, or whatever, how are you going to compute the ROI on that investment? How are you going to compute the return on investment? How are you going to say, I spent this much for a website, how long is it going to take to pay that back? How much success and how will I measure that success on the internet? And trust me, if you sit down with one of these wonderful SBDC people, it'll be the first things they set as a goal for you. Let's compute that ROI. Well, the internet, some people say it's impossible to compute ROI on the internet. It's not, as long as you know how to do it. But that's a whole nother talk. If you're generating leads, which I think the majority of you are, that's about 80% of our business is helping people generate their leads. Your goal for the website, listen, convince them to contact you. Let me be more specific about that. Let's say you're a realtor. How will you measure website success? Is it, I get lots of traffic? Is that website success? No. Is it, I have a lot of people talk about my website? No. Here's a tricky one. Is it selling a house? Is the goal of a realtor website to sell a house? How many say yes? How many say no? You can't say both. It was a trick question. All of you who said yes are generally technically correct, but those of you who said no are more so. And the reason is this. The way you're going to measure the success of the website is not how many more houses you sell, it's how many more qualified leads you received. Because keep in mind, as a realtor, the sales job is yours, not the website. You're the one who has to create the relationship. You're the one they have to connect with and say, wow, you're doing a great job. The sale will be because of you, not because of your website. The way you should measure the success of a website should be, wow, I was only getting 1 lead a week last week, but now that my new website has launched, I'm getting 20. Does this make sense? Leads. Keep in mind, you're saying, well, Eric, how do I get them to contact me? How do I get them to fill out that form, that contact us form? Because keep in mind, everyone on the internet's anonymous, aren't they? I mean, people just go into your website. Can you know who they are? No, it's anonymous. The only way to get that information is to convince them to give it to you. And I'm here to tell you there's some really great ways to do that. We call it the trade. Keep in mind that a person's personal information has a value associated with it. And they're not just going to hand it to you because you asked for it. But they will trade for it. So what are you going to trade? Folks, this is not new information. That's why people have koozies. That's why they have squeeze balls. That's why they have promotional products. It's a trade. Have you ever gone to a conference and you see a fishbowl and you can drop your business card in for a... Are they doing one here? Why are they doing that? Just because they like giving stuff away? No. It's lead generation. What we're doing is just taking it online. So what kind of trade can you do online? Well, let me just tell you, some of the neatest things you can do online are free. I'll get to that in a second. How much information should you ask for in this contact form? What do you think? Name, address, city, state, zip, social security number, mother's maiden name? No? Let me say, do you think the more information I ask for, the fewer people are going to fill it out? Remember, because everyone on the internet has ADD and they're lazy, right? Whenever we create a form for most of our customers, it usually only asks for 4 things. 4 things. Name, email, phone, and comments or questions. And that's it. Name, email, phone, and comments or questions. Kind of a big block, they can put whatever they want. Now, why do we ask for email and phone? We only need, if the goal is to just get barely enough information to contact them, right? Why ask for email and phone number? Because you would be surprised how many people can't type reliably their own phone number. How many people can't reliably type their own email address? And you don't want a situation where you can't talk back to them because they gave you bad information and they think you're ignoring them. So I always have the other one as a plan B. In case they gave me a bad email off by 1 letter, that's all it takes. I can call them, or vice versa. So that's name, email, phone, and comments. If you have a lead generation website, then your navigation should always end in that collection point. Your goal is qualified leads. The way you measure success on your website is how many of those contact form entries did you just get? Which means that no matter where they start on your website, if they click enough, the rule of 3 clicks, they will always end up at that place where you're asking them for their information. You never want a dead end on a website, ever. The best websites in the world, if you click long enough, will end up where they're asking you for something. And if your goal is lead generation, then all roads must lead to that Rome. Questions so far? So let's answer the question. What do you trade for? One of my favorite things in all the world is the PDF report. All you have to do is come up with something in your industry, top 10 this, top 10 that, put it in a PDF, make sure it's information they would actually want, and then trade that. Let me give you, just to follow the realtor example, let me tell you how it works. We all know that buying a house or selling a house is one of the biggest stress-creating situations you will ever have in your life, second only to death and divorce. Okay? So, what if we attacked it from one of 2 positions? Keep in mind that the best way, this is marketing 101. You're either going to hit people with greed or fear. Those are the only 2 advertising techniques there are in the entire world. Greed and fear. Okay? So let's approach greed for a second. And I'm not saying greed in a bad way. What if I had a report called Top 10 Ways to Increase the Value of Your House 25% in 25 Days? If you were looking to sell your house, you would want to read that, wouldn't you? Let's go down the fear route. Top 10 mistakes you can't afford to make when selling your house. You follow me? And if I take some of Ramon's advice and give it a really good headline, you know, top 10 critical mistakes you can't afford to make or you will die. You know, I mean, the more powerful you make it, the more clicks you're going to get. And here's the neat deal. How much does it cost me every time someone fills out my form and receives a link to that? Does it cost me anything? No. Not even as much as a koozie, right? And yet they're getting something useful, aren't they? Folks, if you just implement this one tip, this one trick on your existing awful website, you'll see an increase, okay?
This has been a presentation of the Kentucky Small Business Development Center. For more information, visit ksbdc.org.